Now, it's pretty much undeniable at this point that Momo is going to play a very essential role when it comes to saving Wano, with the most recent chapter pretty much confirming how he's going to do it. Now, I think a lot of people were of the mindset that Momo in some way, shape, or form was going to use his Devil Fruit ability to counteract Kaido's flame clouds. But obviously at that point in time, we weren't sure as to how he was going to get it to be on the same scale as Kaido, but everything seems to be coming full circle now, as Momo has decided to sacrifice some of his lifespan to help in this battle. Now, it's not in the same way that Big Mom takes her lifespan, but more so that he will never get those years back, as Shinobu states that her ability pretty much has a permanent effect once used on both people and objects. And I think this is honestly showing the breaking point of Momo, in which he's witnessed all these bad things transpire in front of him. You have all these powerful people protecting him, but Momo, being the future leader, couldn't do anything, and it's coming to a point where he's becoming more desperate to not let Luffy handle everything, and has chosen to sacrifice some of his lifespan to fight, to do something of worth. And the story has sort of been hinting this for quite some time now. Momo is very special, and not only that, he also possesses the same Devil Fruit as Kaido. Granted, it is fake, but so far it doesn't seem to be any different than Kaido's, and so it was hard to believe that Oda would put these things here for it to play no role whatsoever. Even though Momo is a child, Oda for the most part will still find a way for a powerless character to achieve something great, and Momo getting that Devil Fruit was just a setup. And there's even more things that makes Momo special, to the point that he will be essential for the future of One Piece. So seeing all of this coming to fruition is actually great. It's finally time for Momo to show off, because I think these next couple of chapters are going to have crazy reveals. Given that we've deviated from the Flying Six and their battles, the only major things left are the Calamities and Kaido, and also Big Mom. But I don't think that's going to be a focus, because I think Big Mom's story doesn't end here. So I think Oda is going to focus more on Kaido here than Big Mom. Now, that's not to say that we aren't going to get Big Mom panels here and there of her fighting with Law and Kid, but again, as I mentioned before, that's not going to be the focus. Now, before we keep going, I would appreciate it if you dropped a like on the video. Let's try to get 500 likes, and subscribe if you're new here. Now, when it comes to Momo saving Wano, for the most part, we know how that's going to play out. Even though Shinobu is against using her Devil Fruit here, I think eventually she is going to give in and turn Momonosuke into a 28-year version of himself. Now, why 28 years old specifically? Well, that's because it ties into Momo's original age. This is how old he would be if he didn't travel into the future. Momo is currently 8 years old, so Shinobu would just age him by 20 years, and at that point, Momo should be a full-fledged adult. And this is where it gets really interesting, because it also ties into his Devil Fruit ability, which is a zone. As you guys know, zones always scale from the base, and since Momo will be older, so will his dragon form. And with dragons, they have this thing whereas as a baby, they tend to be really small, but after reaching a certain age, they gain this insane growth spurt that makes them 100 times bigger. And obviously that's what's going to happen here. And Momonosuke will essentially be as big as Kaido in his full zone transformation, which honestly gives Momo more leeway to match Kaido in a lot of things. Like the Boro Blast Kaido has, Momo should be able to replicate that. And of course, with Momo getting bigger in his dragon form, that also means that the flame clouds he summons will also get bigger. And if you guys remember, Momo did state that he was getting better at controlling his Devil Fruit. So I don't think it's going to be far-fetched to think that this future version of Momonosuke would be able to apply his flame clouds to Onigashima just like Kaido did. And this would most likely turn into a tug of war, with Momo pulling the island to one side while Kaido to the other. And I think at this point in time, Onigashima should be over Wano, because I think it's going to be done in a fashion where the people would recognize who is saving them. And in this case, this is where all that shine will go to Momonosuke, with the people finally acknowledging him as the savior of Wano. And obviously this would tie into Momo becoming the future ruler of Wano. And if you guys remember correctly, Kaido is also one of the individuals stated to be the guardian deity of Wano. And so if Momonosuke takes on that form, that dragon form, that title could also apply to him as well. Now, Momo getting this dragon form would actually make him pretty powerful, and maybe powerful enough for him to engage Kaido. Now, personally, I don't think saving Wano is the only thing Momo is going to do here. I think it's also very possible that Momo may hurt Kaido in some way, shape, or form. Now, I'm not sure how that's going to happen, but there are some clues that we can go off of. Now, the first and most vital thing to all of this is the Momotaro folklore, in which a boy, Momo, is followed by 3 animals to defeat a demon on an island called Onigashima. And these animals are a dog, pheasant, and a monkey respectively. And as of right now, there are 3 characters affiliated with these animals. Luffy being the monkey, Yamato being the dog, and Marco being the pheasants. Or at least we think Marco is the pheasant. Everything just seems to be following the folklore. When it comes to things like this, Oda has a huge priority when implementing folklore. power. It's one of the things that Oda seems to put over anything else. So when it comes to power scaling, in the sense that Momo shouldn't be able to do this, that wouldn't matter because getting the folklore right in Oda's eyes has more priority. Now that's not to say that Oda wouldn't have twists and turns as to what comes next. Oda might not necessarily take the entire story and implement it verbatim, but he will take inspirations from it and add his own twists and turns depending on what's actually happening in the story. But regardless of what you think Momo should be able to do or not do, it's undeniable that he will play some role in Kaido's defeat. And one of the more interesting things is what Luffy said in the previous chapter, in which he mentions to Momo that we've got to blow Kaido away, meaning that Luffy is viewing this as a collaborative effort, and I think Luffy is starting to realize that Kaido is just stronger than him and that he will most likely need help to beat him. And it's honestly a lot different than the usual, in which Luffy says, I'm going to defeat so and so individual, I'm going to defeat Doflamingo, I'm going to defeat Katakuri. Here Luffy is outright saying we have to blow Kaido away, which I took as, Momo, you are going to be a part of this, and it's not just stopping Onigashima from falling down. Something that we also have to think about is that he is in possession of Ame no Habakiri, the other blade that cut Kaido, even though Enma had more of an emphasis. We don't know if Ame no Habakiri has a special trait like Enma, but if it does, it could have something that could help Momo get power. We do also know, just like how Enma had Oden's presence, Ame no Habakiri should have as well. There's also something very interesting about Shinobu's Devil Fruit that I want to talk about, and it has a particular title and effect that I think would benefit Momo from a strength perspective. Now obviously we know that it has the ability to make one older, so Momo would get the physical body of a 28-year-old, but there could be more to it. This fruit is called the ripe fruit, and it has the ability to mature things, and the term mature makes me think that Momo will mature in everything. So basically what I'm saying here is that apart from his body maturing, things like his swordsmanship might mature, the experience that he had might mature, his dormant haki could possibly mature. This fruit could possibly bring Momo to a state where he isn't just a child inside a grown body, but a version of him that's trained for 20 years. It's maturing not only his body, but his experiences and fighting ability. And who knows, possibly maturing his Devil Fruit control. So this could be a leeway for Oda to make Momo pretty powerful, because that Devil Fruit and the definition of it could mean a lot of things. So again, there's a lot of things that could go into making Momo stronger. Now in regards to Momo becoming a 28-year-old, I don't think it's a permanent effect, even though it's been set up as one. I do think that Momo will revert back to his child form. Now, a lot of people are thinking Jewelry Bonnie will come into play, which I think is possible, but I believe Momo could get younger through the effects of his Devil Fruit. Now, hear me out for a second here. Now, remember Momo's Devil Fruit is considered to be a failure, just like Smiles, meaning that it has some sort of side effect that doesn't make it a successful Devil Fruit. And we have yet to see what the failure part of it is. And I think just like Smiles, Momonosuke's Devil Fruit has a side effect, but obviously it's going to be different. What if the side effect of Momonosuke's Devil Fruit reverts a person's age? And this could be the way Momo reverts back to his younger self. And it's very interesting because Oda reiterates this with the CP0 in a way that seemingly makes me think that something about the fruit will come into play somehow. And we have them saying here that it was fortunate that that fruit was a failure. And so I think Oda is obviously setting something up in regards to Momo's fruit having something else other than the dragon ability. And I think this other part of it is the failure aspect of it, which could come into play very soon. And it could be something that counteracts Momo's permanent aging. However, I will say that it is also possible that Momo keeps this form permanently, but it would be weird and it wouldn't be the usual way Oda concludes things. But again, this arc is set to have a very surprising ending, so it's obviously not going to follow the usual scheme that we see from other arcs. But I will say that it will be a very interesting decision to make Momo permanently become a 28-year-old. I would like to see how the story progresses from then on. But again, give me your thoughts on Momo and his dragon form, and how do you guys see this playing out, because there's a lot that goes into it. But that's pretty much it for this video, guys. Comment down below what you guys think. I would appreciate it if you dropped a like on this video and subscribe for more One Piece content on this channel. You can follow me on Twitter at Pharaohspace, but it is Pharaoh, guys, and I will see you folks later. Peace.